feel all the way. Imagination is fun when it's free to run. Come on, we paint this a brand new day. Simply painting with Frank today.
Well, welcome once again to Simply Painting. I'm Frank Clarke, and this time we're in County Clare in Ireland. And I'm standing in the entrance to a crannog. Now, what is a crannog? I'll tell you. It's an old Irish residence. About 1000 BC, they built these things on little islands out in lakes and that, and they put a wicker fence around them to defend themselves. Not, as you might have thought, against fellow Irishmen, because we were pretty peaceful in those days, but against wild animals. Well, they had huts that they built in the centre of these things. One thing I disagree with though, no chimneys, but they had fires in them. So what happened was the whole thing filled with smoke. Now, I believe it was because they used to smoke their meat. Maybe they were impervious to smoke, I don't know, but I found it a bit uncomfortable. Anyway, I'm glad to say it's a watercolour programme because it is raining and there's water everywhere, and we're going to find something to paint and maybe look at some of the other beauties of the area. So why don't you join me? Hello there, just measuring off this piece of paper. Well now, nice to be back in the studio here, ready to paint this old picture. It was a wet, miserable day out there. Still, it was good fun, wasn't it? Not too sure, I still think there should be a chimney in that crannog, don't you think so? Anyway, let's now talk about quickly the materials we're going to need to paint this very simple little picture. And first of all, we need 5 watercolours, and they are cobalt blue, raw sienna, alizarin crimson, lemon yellow and burnt umber. We have our 3 brushes, which is the large goat hair brush, our baby goat hair brush and our rigger. We have our tray to put our paint out on. We have our cloths to control the water on the brush. We have some water. And last, of course, we have our piece of paper which measures 14 by 10. It's longwise, therefore it's landscape. And it's watercolour, 140-pound weight paper. Without further ado, let's have some more fun. So first thing is horizon. I was just marking it off sneakily when you caught up with me there. Now we're up about just under 4 inches up. It's a good bit, it's a high horizon this time. We want to take the far side of the river bank as being our horizon line because it's a misty kind of a scene we're going to paint. You'll see. Right, I hope you're ready there to get going now. So now, first thing is, let's have a look at the paint we're going to need. And the first thing we do is we paint the sky. Taking the large brush, we take some of the raw sienna, which was that mustardy stuff. Remember that? Let's move it on. Give ourselves a bit. And then just wet the paper with it. There you go. Right down to the horizon line. Just about there. I'd maybe stay a half an inch above it. And then let's get some of the alizarin crimson, which is a nice red cherry kind of colour, and mix it to some of the blue cobalt. And you know what we get then? We get a lovely winey kind of colour. Put the two together and that's what we have. Kind of a purpley colour, yes. And then we start off and we paint that in. Look, just as if we're painting the old garage door again, right down along, stopping about an inch from the horizon line. It's a dead, simple, straightforward sky. No heroics, nothing smart at all. It's just a flat wash, we call it. And then, while it's still wet, what we do is this. We take some more of the same colour, the blue, the red, mix the two together, we get the winey colour, and then we add a little bit of the raw sienna into it. Believe it or not, that has the effect of kind of toning it down a bit. And then with the corner of the large goat hair brush, we're going to dab in some distant trees. Now you'll see what will happen is that the paint will sink into the paper because, of course, it's wet. So we're just doing an outline. These are a long way away, across a lake, you see. Remember the day it was awful, wet as well. You know, the thing about it is that the great thing about watercolours, there's so many different things you can do, and you can do them so quickly. It's not as if you have to, with oils, you might have to wait 9 months for some of them to dry, yeah. Imagine having to wait 9 months to do this. Well, you don't do that, of course, but very close on it before you could actually show your work. 9 months. Well, we can get at this thing, we can have it finished in our sort of 20 minutes and hang it on the wall, get the friends in that evening, have the old party to celebrate our first masterpiece, or maybe not your first masterpiece. Now you see, slowly there's an indentation coming into the paper. You see that faintly the trees are beginning to arrive, because what's happening is that paper is drying. And as it's drying, it's getting that the paint won't sink into it. So we'll give it another coat now. Watch this now. And then we get the other coat on it, then that's when we might give it the old dry. What do you think? Now you see, the second time we do it, you'll find that the paint will be, I think I'm going to get some more paint. Very hard to paint without paint, they say. Now you see, what's happened is some of the underneath stuff has dried, some of it is still wet, and so parts of the paper will dry, other parts of it won't, and you get this nice broken effect that you need. That's what we're trying to get. Right across there and up that far side. Don't make them all kind of like skittles dead even across, because if you do, it'll look a bit silly, to tell you straight. Now that's our second go across. We probably won't need any more than one more, I think, because I'm beginning to see it now. See, it kind of emerges out of the mist. It's kind of the same idea. Yeah. That reminds me to tell you, do you know, there's a word called mercenary. You know what mercenary is? Yes. Yeah. Well, do you know that freelance and mercenary are the same thing? And the word freelance, which we use quite a lot, don't we? Oh, a freelance painter, he's a freelance this and that. That actually came from the Middle Ages. And what it was there was a knight whose lance was free. That's exactly what it was. And he hired himself out to the local lords. And they would send him off to storm castles or save maidens in distress, or maybe rape and pillage, or whatever he was doing at the time. And he got paid an hourly rate. That's where the word freelance came from. So there you go now. Just thought I'd tell you that. I don't know why. Now, as I'm talking to you now, we're very nearly finished here. Now, we're just going to go once more across there. Then we're going to put in some nice tree trunks in, distant ones. Are you ready? Now watch how you do this. And then we'll dry this off. Watch this. The old nail trick, look. Now you see, I waited till I was nearly dry, otherwise you wouldn't see them coming in. And don't make them all straight. And lo and behold, we got some kind of distant, far away, misty looking bushes, right?